Dear brothers and sisters, as we all gather here today on this beautiful day outside, we're very close to a festival which is celebrated in India. It's called the Festival of Lodi. Many of you might be familiar with the Festival of Diwali, which happens somewhere in October or November, the Festival of Lights. But this festival, Lodi, happens on the 13th of January. It's also associated with light. This is a festival where people have a bonfire, and they sit around the bonfire. They eat sesame candy, and they have peanuts and popcorn. I think those are very popular all around the globe. And they sing songs. And this is the harvest time that they're celebrating. The celebration is mostly done in the northern part of India, but associated with this are other functions that happen in different parts of the country. So I want to wish everyone a very, very happy Lodi, people who are from that part of the world. And also, as we gather today, tomorrow is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth celebration. And it's a holiday that the government of America has given to everyone. And it's very interesting. There are only two presidents, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, after whom the federal government gives a holiday. And Martin Luther King Jr., the one who got a Nobel Prize for his peaceful activities, the one who brought freedom to this part of the world, the one who said, we are free at last. Thank God Almighty that we are free. And his life was one in which he got guidance from the Lord to recognize the equality between human beings, irrespective of the color of their skins, irrespective of how they were brought up, irrespective of where they lived. As a young boy, he recognized that all human beings were one and the same. And it is said that as he was growing up, the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi from India had a tremendous effect on him. And so his path to gaining equality for everyone was a path of nonviolence, a path of peaceful congregations of people to collectively put across what they thought was correct. And so today, even though he was not the president of the country, he is recognized by the government that a holiday has been instituted in his name. And when you look at what he was able to achieve, it's the realization of oneness of each and every one of us. When we look at ourselves, we look at our outer signs. So people might have skins which are very fair, people might have skins which are kind of brown, people might have skins which are very dark. People might have hair which are dark or red or blonde, and these days you could put any color you want. So we as human beings want to be different. Why do people color their hair differently than someone else? They want to look different. We on the outside want to feel different, look different, and it's diversity which also needs to be appreciated. If you go to a garden, if all the flowers are one and the same, you're not going to enjoy that much. See, like a garden which has some flowers of one kind, some of another, and some of another, some of another. But the realization that they're all flowers is important. And so even though on the outside we might look different, the realization that on the inside we are all one and the same is important. That's what Martin Luther King Jr. realized in his lifetime. And that realization sets in as you experience that oneness within. And that oneness is nothing but the light. When we celebrate Lodi, it's an outside symbol to have a bonfire and a light and sing songs. And generally one sings songs when one is happy and joyous, and that's when you generally would be singing songs collectively. And so what is being signified by that experience is that we need to experience the light within. We can go within and we can experience the divine light within. And as we experience the divine light, then our soul gets happy and joyous and sings in tune with the divine sound current. It comes in tune with it so that it is in the state of joy and bliss. And so on this Sunday, when we're all gathering here, these are two outer celebrations which are happening. Celebrations to experience the light, celebration to experience a oneness, celebrations which tell us that it's in being peaceful, in being calm, and in being tranquil that all the happiness and joy can be achieved. The movement that Martin Luther King Jr. Brought about was a peaceful movement, and it culminated in the equality of human beings in this country. Okay. There have been other movements like that which brought, like the movement of Mahatma Gandhi, was peaceful and brought independence to the people of India. And so there have been other great luminaries who've taken that peaceful direction so that they could attain the oneness that is needed by each and every one of us. When we look at the lives of the great saints and mystics, we find that each and every one of them is a journey of love. Each and every one of them is a journey of peace. And that is the direction that they ask us to go in. Now, how do we safeguard the peace of our being? Many of us own homes, many of us live in apartments, and in this day and age, security is very big. So what do? We secure our home. So how you secure them? You put an alarm system. You put a security system. We feel that if we have an alarm system, or if we put in like double bolts, and if we put in rods through our patio doors, and we've secured our windows, that our home would be secure. But then we find out that all the security that we put in sometimes get breached. That there might be thieves who break into a home which, quote unquote, is very secure. And they're very fast. They come in, they break in, they take our belongings, they're gone. And we wonder, how did that happen? Why did it happen? And how could it ever happen to us? Not realizing that difficulties do come in our life. It's the same thing in our life itself. None of us wants any difficulties to come into our life. But sickness comes in, financial difficulties come in, emotional states come in which are not easy to deal with, and all of a sudden we feel devastated. Just like we try to secure a home, we need to secure the treasures that we have. And our true treasure is our soul. This human body is just the home in which it lives. And so how do we secure, our treasures from being ravished and from being tampered with? Saints and mystics, when you look at their lives, they've all exhorted us to be virtuous, to make sure that the 5 thieves of anger, lust, greed, attachment, and ego are not defiling our soul. That our soul needs to be protected from them because they're the ones that defile them. And there's a very interesting example which kind of says or shows how we can keep these 5 thieves from tampering with our soul. This is a story about a rich person who had done well in life. He bought a lot of property, and to make money, he started to rent his apartments. And so as he's renting his apartment in his apartment building, things are going well for him. And then one day, a bunch of people come in, and they dress very nicely. They say, we are here for a short term, a few months. We'd like to rent your premises. And since we are here for a short time, and we are not here for a whole year, we are willing to pay you more than what you really charge. So the guy looked at them and saw that they were very well dressed up and thought he'll make a lot of money, so he tripled his price. He says, okay, I won't sign a lease, but you have to pay this much rent. And so they said, fine. So they paid him the rent for the first month, and they moved in. Now, as they moved in, and the next month came, and the rent was due, they said, oh, our money's coming, and please give us a few more days. And then the landlord started to get complaints from the other residents. They said, the people in this apartment, they come and go at any time. They're very rowdy, they drink, they're loud, they create a racket. And so he's trying to see how to deal with them. And some more time goes by, another month goes by, and now it's becoming difficult for him to collect his rent. And they're not moving out because they're always giving him a story that, hey, money's coming now, it's going to come in 2 days. It's on its way. And so, as is all of these stories, he has to go to wise old man. So he goes to his guru and he says, I am in great trouble. These guys have moved in, and all of the people in the building think something's wrong here because they go at all times of the day and night, and they're coming and going. And, they seem to be very well dressed up. We don't know what they do, but they create a lot of havoc for everyone else. So what should I do? So his guru thinks, and he says, okay, I want you to go to the police station. And I want you to tell them that you have an apartment to rent. And then you're going to charge them half the rate that you charge for the other people, so that a police person rents this place. And so the guy is thinking to himself, here's the guru is telling me, get less money for your apartment. But he has enough sense to listen to him, so he goes to the police station and he puts up a sign that I have an apartment to rent, and a policeman comes in and rents his place. Now, as soon as the policeman started to live there and these people saw the policeman, very quickly they left. And so this story is told so that we do understand that we have these 5 thieves of anger, lust, greed, attachment, and ego, which are defiling our soul. And so what kind of policeman do we get? The great Master has given us the policeman of the Simran. So as we focus on the Simran, we'll find that it'll bring calm into our lives. As it brings calm into our life, then we'll find that we'll be able to deal with ego, which is the root cause of all of our other difficulties. It's our ego which makes us feel different than someone else. It's our ego which makes us boost up whatever we are. It's our ego which makes us think that We need to get something and makes us greedy. It's our ego which attaches us to whatever there is. It's our ego which puts us in all kinds of lustful states. And so the root cause of all of our difficulties is our ego. And ego is very difficult to control. And so as we do Simran, what happens? As we do Simran, we're calming our environment. The guidance to soar into the inner regions is there. So as we meditate and as we do the Simran, then we've been guided into states which are more calm, more peaceful. So that as we experience the light within, the realization that we are one with God starts to set in. As that happens, then the oneness of our existence is experienced by us, and then we are able to lead lives which are calm and which are peaceful. Our mind is what makes us be egoistic. Our mind doesn't want us to know God. Our mind wants us to be engrossed in the wheel of transmigration. So it's our mind which keeps us from God. And someone asked Yudhishthira, who was one of the 5 Pandavas, the elder brother of them all, who's supposed to be the most sensible and the most knowledgeable. And someone asked him, what is the fastest thing in the world? And he answered very quickly. He said, that's the mind. It runs faster than anything else you can think about. It could be here, in the Chicago area, it could be on the moon on the next one. No equipment that we've designed can go as fast as the mind, because the mind is so fast, it could be in one area, another area, very, very quickly. And that's what creates havoc in our life, because our attention then is distracted into the arena in which our mind takes us. And so the key is to still the mind, and as we do that, our ego will come into control automatically. And so the saints talk about a very interesting story. They talk about a crow which lives on a tree, and this crow is getting food for itself. So every day it goes and gets food and brings it to a high branch on the tree and sits down and enjoys its food. It's picking a very good food. And so a fox passes by one day and sees the crow eating a very good lunch. And the fox thinks to itself, how can I eat the food that the crow is collecting? Because the crow is collecting all kinds of good food. And start to watch the crow. So it tracks the crow, sees what does the crow do. So in a few days it realizes the crow every day in the morning gets up and flies to a stream. And it looks in the stream and it says, oh, I am so beautiful. God created me in His own image. And it looks there and feels very good. Drinks the water and goes on his way to collect the food. So he collects food here, and then it's sitting down very calmly and eats the food that it has collected. So the fox thinks, how am I going to get all of this food rather than me have to hunt for it? If I can get it from the crow, in my life would be easy. So the fox was very smart, goes on the tree as the crow is starting to start his lunch. He says, oh, God made the prettiest bird in this whole world to put it on this tree. And the crow all of a sudden hears praises about himself and looks down and sees this fox and says, are you talking to me? And the fox says, yeah, I'm talking to the prettiest bird that I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone more prettier than you. And the crow, who's putting food in his mouth, opens the mouth, says, yeah, God created me, all the food falls down. And the fox has gotten a mechanism of getting the food from the crow. And as the food goes down, and the fox starts to laugh, and the crow says, why are you laughing? He says, yeah, God gave you a lot of beauty, but didn't give you the brains like it gave me. And so that's what happens with most of us in our ego. Is having us so entangled in the activities outside. Our mind is like trapping us in all of those activities, that all of our attention is going into that external arena, not realizing that all the joys and all the happiness is within ourselves. When we light a candle, it disperses the darkness. When we have a festival like Lodi, the fire is lit so that the darkness goes away. We can light a fire within ourselves at any time. We can light up our soul at any time, irrespective of what time of the day or night it is. It's a question of focusing our attention in the right area. It's a question of stilling our mind. And those of us who've been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, we've been given those skills. The saints time and time again told us that